Joshua 5 1-15, through the Bible. Chapter 5. Theme: Fear falls upon the Amorites. A new generation is circumcised, the divine visitor, captain of the host. In this chapter, we learn that the rite of circumcision was performed, the manna ceased, and they began to eat the old corn of the land. Finally, Joshua was confronted by the unseen, captain of the host of the Lord. Joshua needed this vision at this time. These three things are important to see. Fear falls upon the Amorites. And it came to pass, when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan, from before the children of Israel, until we were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was there spirit in them any more, because of the children of Israel. Joshua 5:1. Because the Jordan River was at the flood stage, the Amorites and Canaanites did not expect the Israelites to cross over. They expected them to cross over after the flood season was over. They probably thought they had quite a bit more time to prepare for battle, and it was a shock for them to discover that God had enabled Israel to cross Jordan. A new generation is circumcised. At that time, the Lord said unto Joshua, Make thee sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel, the second time. And Joshua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt, that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way, after they came out of Egypt. Now, all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness, by the way, as they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. Joshua 5:2-5. The new generation had neglected the rite of circumcision, which was the badge of the Abrahamic covenant. The Abrahamic covenant, you remember, gave Israel the land of Canaan. They had neglected to observe this rite during those years of wandering through the wilderness. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord sware, that he would not show them the land, which the Lord sware unto their fathers, that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey. And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp, till they were whole. And the Lord said unto Joshua, This day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore, the name of the place is called Gilgal, unto this day. Joshua 5:6-9. Both in spirit and in reality, the children of Israel had not kept the rite of circumcision, which was the sign of the Abrahamic covenant. The children of Israel had walked 40 years in the wilderness, until all of the men that had come out of Egypt, who were men of war, had died. The Lord had given them children, and they are the ones whom Joshua circumcised. At this time, God rolled away the reproach of Egypt. The reproach of Egypt means that during the latter years of the Egyptian bondage, this rite had been neglected, and the neglect had continued during the wilderness wanderings. Therefore, the place where Joshua circumcised the children of Israel was called Gilgal, which means a rolling. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month, at even, in the plains of Jericho. Joshua 5:10. It was in the spring of the year, at the time of the latter rains, that Israel performed the rite of circumcision, and then celebrated the Passover. The reproach of Egypt was rolled away from Israel. God had promised to give the descendants of Abraham the land, and the promise was about to become a reality. All of this has a spiritual message for us today. The old nature is no good. The old nature cannot inherit spiritual blessing. The old nature cannot even enjoy spiritual blessing. The old nature will not like Canaan, nor anything in the heavenlies. In Galatians 5:17 Paul says, For the flesh lusteth, which is literally wars, against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Paul found that there was no good in the old nature. He also discovered that there was no power in the new nature. Romans 7. The circumcision of the children of Israel recognized these facts. And they did eat the old corn of the land, on the morrow, after the Passover, unleavened cakes, and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow, after they had eaten of the old corn of the land, neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land, of Canaan, that year. Joshua 5:11-12. Manna was a picture of Christ, we are told in the New Testament. Jesus said, "Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness, and are dead. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof, and not die. I am the living bread, which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever, and the bread that I will give, is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world." John 6:49-51. Manna represents Christ in his death. He is the one, who came down to this earth, to give his life a ransom for many. When Israel arrived in Canaan, the manna ceased, and they began to eat the old corn of the land. The divine visitor, captain of the host. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and, behold, there stood a man over against him, with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him, and said unto him, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord, am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Joshua 5:13-15. This is the call and commission of Joshua. It is the same as Moses' call, on the plain of Midian, at the burning bush. Moses was told to remove his shoes, for the ground upon which he stood was holy, Exodus 3:5. The children of Israel had crossed the Jordan River, and were camped on the other side. One morning, Joshua probably got up, and looked over the scene. It was an impressive sight. There were the camps of all 12 tribes of Israel around him. As he looked at it, I think he swelled with a little pride. He was the one in charge, and general headquarters was in his tent now. Then he happened to look down at the edge of the camp, and he saw someone with a drawn sword. Joshua may have thought, there is someone down there, who doesn't seem to know, that I am the general here. I'd better go down there, and put that fellow in his place. So he walked down there, and, according to our translation, said, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries? Now, in good old Americana he said, What's the big idea? Who gave you an order to draw a sword? Then that one, whom I believe, was the pre-incarnate Christ, turned to him, and when he turned, he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord, am I now come. Notice, the reaction of Joshua. He fell on his face before him. You see, Joshua learned that general headquarters was not in his tent after all. It was at the throne of God. God was leading them. Actually, he was not captain of the hosts of the Lord, he was under someone else. And he would be taking orders from him. We shall be seeing this in the next chapter, as he marches the army around the city of Jericho, for 7 straight days. If you had stopped Joshua on the 6th day and said, Look, General Joshua, this is a silly thing to be doing, he probably would have said, That's exactly what I think. Then why are you doing it? You are in command here. Joshua would say, You are wrong. I take my orders from someone above me. I am only a buck private in the rear ranks. I am doing this, because I have been commanded to do it.